campus of the University of Lynchburg for this evening's Old Dominion Athletic Conference men's lacrosse game, featuring the visiting generals of Washington and Lee University and your Lynchburg Hornets. Before we play the national anthem and meet tonight's starting lineups, we have the privilege of welcoming members of the 1999 men's lacrosse team back to campus and Schellenberger Field. This Hornets team was the first group in the program's storied history to make the NCAA tournament 25 seasons ago. The Lynchburg men's lacrosse program would also like to take a moment to honor and remember two players from the 1999 team that have sadly passed away. Please join us in a moment of reflection for Chris Delaware, Michael Barrett, and their families. Thank you. Fans, now turn your attention to the video board, where we have a video highlighting the 1999 team and its run to the program's first NCAA tournament. Let's have a round of applause for the 1999 Lynchburg men's lacrosse team. Finally, the Lynchburg men's lacrosse team has another fantastic announcement to share. As of December 19th, the program surpassed its fundraising goal of $500,000, which operationalizes the men's lacrosse endowment. This incredible first step would not be possible without the dedicated support of Lynchburg men's lacrosse alumni, parents, the University Board of Trustees, Lynchburg Athletic Director John Waters, and University President Dr. Allison Morrison-Shetler. This endowment would also not be possible without the efforts of the Alumni Task Force and two of the members, Mr. Andrew McKenna and Mr. A.J. Creshaw, who are presenting the check. The entire task force's names are displayed on the video board. Let's have a round of applause for them, the 1999 men's lacrosse team, all Lynchburg alumni, and the future generation of Hornets that will be positively impacted on and off the field by the men's lacrosse endowment.
There's a different energy in the air, a different vibe, if you will, on a Saturday night when the lights come on and there's men's lacrosse to be played. A 7 p.m. start time when stick will meet rubber on the field below Washington and Lee and Lynchburg. Perhaps the ODAC's greatest rivalry. If you care to take up that stance, we do here on LHSN, and we're excited to bring you the 53rd all-time meeting between these two in-state foes. Sam Graham, Evan Gates alongside you for tonight's pivotal ODAC contest. Obviously, these two teams both coming into today's contest undefeated. One of them is not going to be after today. We will wait until after this national anthem to bring the rest of the pregame show.
I was really attracted to Lynchburg primarily because my dad went here. He is an alum, so I kind of had that close tie of being interested in this school, and the school had what I wanted to study. I knew I wanted to help people in the area of health and wellness, so the health promotion program was definitely a program that drew me in, and from day one I've been in love with it, and I wouldn't have chosen any different. I have never had better professors or teachers in my life, and I think here at the University of Lynchburg, the professors definitely care about their students, especially in the health promotion department. These professors want you to be educated, want you to have the experience, and just want you to feel confident going into your career path following your collegiate education. You just feel like you're cared for here and that you matter, and that no matter what, at the end of the day, you're going to be successful, and the people here really want to be here, and everyone has a purpose, and it's just a great environment to be in.
Celebrate the soggy shoes and the slow starts. Celebrate the lessons learned along the way. These are the wins. Not the shiny, nail-biting kind. These are the last a lifetime kind.
Pre-game, they honored the 1999 version of these Lynchburg Hornets. That was the first team that ever made a trip to the NCAA tournament. It's their 25th anniversary. They were led by Marty Jakovic, the goalkeeper, the anchor of that defense. He was an All-American, and they will be in attendance for tonight's Code Red affair. We mentioned rivalry renewed, and Evan, if you go back to that 1999 date, you're not going to find a rivalry much closer than the series between Generals and Hornets. A 19-19 split of the 38 games since that year, including 12 one-score games. 2 of those came last year, one of them right here in the ODAC title game, the other one off a Riley Mitchell game-winning goal on the road. In the last 4 meetings, we will note, have each been won by the visiting team, a number that certainly is in favor of the Generals tonight. But, Evan, we got a lot to unpack in this one, and I think it's going to be a whole lot of fun. Mention all those one-score games. It'd be awesome if we got another one tonight.
Goodness, Sam, this is that cinematic type of stuff. We've waited all season. It feels like these moments on Schellenberger Field, yeah, it's Code Red Day, yeah, it's April, you're near the postseason, but it is this matchup, these two characters, that is just so special for everybody involved. You got Gene McCabe, Steve Kudelka, 2 coaches who have been with these programs not just for a long time, but they've had success, not just the ODAC level, the NCAA level. So much fun. We've got a lot to unpack.
6 times these two teams have met in the ODAC championship game, one of the more common matchups that you will find. The game only started in 2002, and you guessed it, they have split that series as well, 3 apiece. These 2 coaches have been at the head of just about every single one of them. Mentioned that 1999 team, and you mentioned Coach Kudelka. Interesting enough, you know, you want to talk about tenure. He was in his 3rd season when those guys were on campus right here. He has authored every storybook season Lynchburg has had, none more so than the 2015 campaign. Last year was a special one, but you bring up Gene McCabe and his Generals as well. 7 trips now to the NCAA tournament, including a big year last year.
Well, we know it's one thing to get to the tournament with the auto bid, but these 2 programs, obviously, with combating success, have had to get it through the at-large as well, and it's so crucial to be able to get to the big stage. Yeah, these moments matter, but this is just really a prelim for what to expect down the road.
And these two teams have really gotten used to seeing some of the best that the country has to offer. They do that every year. You stack the non-conference. Lynchburg coming off its biggest win of the season just about a week ago. They went on the road up to PA and took down Amherst in a neutral site affair. And Washington and Lee, a big win over Gettysburg, sort of anchors their resume right now, both teams. I mean, this is one of those swing games when you talk about the postseason. And I think, Evan, one thing that we're going to watch a lot today is going to be possessions. You know, be that the clear percentage number, be that face-offs, and then prizing possessions, taking good shots. I really think that's where this game is won or lost.
Well, and there's so many hustle stats you can look at because these two teams get goals at a high rate. They're going to continue doing their thing throughout, but the little parts of the game matter. The goalies matter. We've already talked about what we have in store. Duquesne and Hadley, two of the best in the conference, going at it, and so those little things start to add up. We know there's a lot in store, and it starts right here at the X.
Tyler Hadley, all the other goalies going with sweatpants. These two starters, they're rocking the shorts. It's a nippy, breezy, but beautiful April night in the Hill City. Face-off underway, a battle for it immediately between Lynchburg's 5'6", that is Michael Kraus, and 2'6" from the blue. It is not Will Bowe getting the start. It is the first year taking over at the X for these Generals. Tyler Spano, freshman out of Charlottesville, and boy, has he taken over that role in a big way. It's not every day that you have an All-American last season in Will Bowe that's now running as your backup at the X, but I think it gives a lot of depth if you're Coach McCabe and this Generals team.
It's easy to build confidence when you play good teams, and it's not always just in the conference. We've seen these two teams go on the road, really face some tough competition earlier, but we understand when this matchup shows up, a little bit more blood involved, you want to get off to a good start.
Spano has led the team in ground balls in every contest this season. He's also taken the majority of reps at the X. So here we go. First offensive possession for the Generals. Blue tops, white lids. Lynchburg, a note to Code Red. They're rocking the red lids today after unveiling those sleek matte black helmets for the first season. Yeah, they gotta show support. Red bottoms as well. Generals probing right now, patient. This is a big Generals team, an incredibly athletic Generals team, and they're going to test a really solid Lynchburg defense for 60 minutes. First shot of the day is going to go wide for the Generals. It's Jack Elliott, the junior out of Suffolk, Virginia, that's off the mark on the first shot, and Washington Lee is going to go ahead and burn that possession. Did not reset the shot clock, so that is a win for the Lynchburg defense to start this one off.
Tell you one thing to get the bench rolling, to get everybody involved, is to have that good start. You don't always get Code Red night on a matchup like this where it goes so far back, and so keeping people engaged both on the team and in the crowd really matters.
Couches have been dragged out onto the track, packed the track living up to its name, and rest assured that'll only continue to grow through this first half. You know, make sure to peek back at the track when the third quarter gets underway. Dylan Wolf getting the Lynchburg offense underway. Good to see him fully healthy from the outset this year. Riley Mitchell back as well. Zinger of a shot from Jake Russ, calmly collected by the first year in goal, and it generates a fast break for WNL.
We know that clear percentage at 90%. They're always looking to run, but how about Lynchburg's defense getting a little rough and rugged?
That was Riley Mitchell coming up from behind, knocking it loose. Does not force the turnover, but does force the Generals to think an extra beat and reset. Now Mitchell will jog off, and it's offense versus defense on the field for the second time today for the Generals.
Well, Sam, I'll tell you this. Possession stats don't always show up on the stat sheet, but it's so crucial today just to try to wear that defense down. Two teams who can really clear it well. You just have to make sure that you're ready to go.
First shot of the day from the stick of WNL's Sam Menino. It finds the back of the net. It Generals into a frenzy on the sideline. WNL strikes first. Evan Menino had a great game when these two teams met in the ODAC title game last season, a game the Generals prevailed 12-11, and Menino gets it going in his second trip of the last two seasons to Lakeside Drive.
Will knock it in for number 19 this season. He's one of those guys who is just so crucial. 38 for this team. Talk about 37 as well. Alex Brown. You got a lot of players on this team who can score goals, but Alex Brown, a hat trick in all but 2 games this season. He's just somebody you got to get going. Sometimes having those different offensive options early really opens the window for the others.
Face-off scoots its way all the way back into Lynchburg's attacking third, but it was all Generals in the area. I tell you, that battle at the X it really may determine this game. Two great teams on the face-off, but one of them is going to clear 50% and the other one is not, and that just might mirror who wins this game. So Michael Kraus and Tyler Spano going to have a massive role in this contest.
Well, sometimes we like to overanalyze with sports and stats, but I'll tell you one thing. You got to score. You got to have the ball to get those goals, to score and have a big impact. And so, obviously, the possession stat, as we talked about, really starts to matter.
Second shot of the day from Menino is stopped by Tyler Hadley. Possession goes Lynchburg's way. Credit to Dylan Schuster diving after it. And back to that point on the faceoffs, you really got two opposite ends of the spectrum. First of all, the fact that Michael Kraus from Oregon, Oswego City, Oregon, and then on the other side, Charlottesville native is Spano, but then also a freshman going up against a senior. So really get to, you see that you get all kinds of matchups, especially there at the X. And like you said, Evan, sometimes it's a little more simple than we might make it out to be.
Well, if you're Lynchburg, too, you just trust your veteran. We know that Kraus and so many of these Hornets have been in these moments so many times, whereas we've talked about some of WNL's freshmen, what they're bringing to the table. So you understand the emotions, and early in this game just can't get rattled.
Trying to get the defender on his back, does well to do so. Riley Hastings running strong to the net, two hands in the air. Hastings answers Menino's goal, and we are once again knotted up at 1.
If you're going to win this game, you got to get the Riley duo involved, and how about a good start? Goal number 17. We know that throughout this season, Hastings has been so crucial just because he really poses threats. Just a sophomore, you understand this offense expands beyond just the first few characters on the stat sheet.
Well, and this is one of those games where everybody in the vicinity is going to be living and dying on every goal. That's how it is each time these two teams meet, and that's the sort of environment we just expect to see when highly touted opponents, highly ranked opponents make their way onto Schellenberger Field. Lynchburg's been good in this. We won't call it a building. It is open air. They've been good in this venue. That might be a better descriptor. 70 wins on Schellenberger Field going back to that magical 2015 run, and they're perfect 3-0 so far this season in addition to that perfect conference record.
We talk about it a lot with Lynchburg's baseball team. Sometimes it's just the air feels a little bit better when you're at home. You have comfort. We also have so many students, so many parents in attendance. That's what makes this campus pretty special.
Hornets rolling with that motion offense, fill the gaps, a lot of movement. Hastings tried to line up his second of the day. He's off the mark, but Lynchburg will reset pending a check of the whistle.
Lynchburg can't hesitate to take those shots, too. I like it early. You hesitate maybe once or twice, and then you lose possession. Take those shots, force WNL to make the saves early, especially in this game right off the piping.
Dylan Wolf got a bone to pick with that post. Might have left a bruise on it as he tries the wrap. It does award a reset of the shot clock for Lynchburg. Spencer Vandenberg's going to take a shot, take a stab, if you will, at the behind-the-back goal. He did have one of those when Washington League came to this place last season, that ODAC title game. Hornets trying to make a run late in the game, and Spencer Vandenberg tacks on a couple style points. Did only go down as one goal on the scoreboard. I guess that's how it has to work, but it got everybody around on their feet.
You talk about Mr. Showtime. He's just one of those guys coming in as a freshman last year. Feels like there's 3 of them some games because he is all over the field, and when he has those goals, like you said, you're going to make sure you really remember him.
Big freshman year last season for Vandenberg, and then followed it up by representing his country on the junior national team. Won gold in that event as well. Here's Washington Lee probing. Back to a draw like the first 6 minutes didn't happen. One apiece between these two teams that seems play every single meeting right down to the bone.
Great communication on defense, too. You see so many in the area. You want to keep Hadley away from those shots as much as possible, but when he's there, he's ready to save.
A lot to unpack from that last possession. The shot came from Andrew Keller, and then Alex Brown, who leads the conference as well as this general team in goals, was looking to pick up an easy one. Hadley stops the first shot and then does well to just flip that ball back into the air out of harm's reach, because you got to watch out for 3-7. Alex Brown, one of the best to do it in this conference. You take out the Roanoke guys who are just stat stuff in the top of the conference statistical leaderboards, and it's all Alex Brown.
Well, it's one thing to lead your team in goals, but it's another to lead it in shot percentage as well. He's not only getting those good looks, he's capitalizing and, again, opening other options up and down this bench.
Play at midfield got everybody up in arms for a moment. Hornet hit the turf. No penalty flag comes in.
Expect a few more of those today. You know that these two sides are going to try to lobby for every single call you can get. Two teams that have a decent number of penalties as well, so coming into this, you have to wonder what the referees are thinking, trying to control this game.
Second line midfield out there for Lynchburg. Here comes Liam Holman. His shot stopped. How about the start to the game for these two goalkeepers? Make that now 2 saves for each of them, but the possession continues off the rebound for Lynchburg.
DeCane has been phenomenal. Obviously didn't start this season as a goalkeeper, but what he's being able to accomplish is just instilling trust in this coaching staff. When you have somebody like that who brings another breath of fresh air, it's somebody new in between the posts, you understand he's ready to go every single moment.
Lynchburg's going to try again off of that rebound. A lot of freshmen on this second line midfield. Saw Cole Brandy with it a second ago. Now it's a sophomore. Finn Schmidt takes a beating trying to make his way to the goal. Whistle's going to come for a push and a reset of the shot clock. Generals don't like it. Hornets, on the other hand, love it. A fresh 60 on the shot clock. But, Evan, you mentioned DeCane, a big year for DeCane's. Obviously, the DeCane University men's basketball team making a little run in March Madness. Final Four going on right now. Different spelling, but who knows? Maybe he got a little boost of energy for that run that DU was having.
There's a lot of love to share. Final Four right now, too. Talk about one of the best sports times of the year. You got to love it.
A lot to watch, so we really appreciate you giving your attention to what's going on the field right here. We've enjoyed it so far. Hornets and Generals at a 1-1 draw. 6:25 to go, quarter number 1. That was a good look at it for Lynchburg's 35. One of those fantastic freshmen, Colby Hogg. I won't say those first years have gotten quite the same number of opportunities that the freshmen did a season ago just due to health, and that's a good thing for this ball club, but still gotten a good amount of playing time. Prandy, Hogg, Holman, those stick out in particular. Try again, does Hogg. That one corralled as well. Make it 3 saves already for DeCane. Just one's gotten by.
He's making his money's worth, but I like it from Lynchburg. We talked about getting those shots up early. He was pretty fortunate behind the goal, too, for that first one, but just settling, getting those opportunities.
Another clear for the Generals. Good job by Hadley reading it, but don't think that one was placed on frame anyway. Jack Elliott trying to turn defense into offense at the drop of a hat. So now Generals try again. 5:40 to go, quarter number 1. 1 apiece your score. Generals once again will elect to be patient and methodical. They'll push it in transition. They want to utilize that really high clear percentage, a top 25 mark in the country to their advantage, top 10 mark, I should say. But now Lynchburg's going to turn them over. Hornets a chance in transition. They have numbers 4-3. Can Blanchard outrun his defender? Scoops it up, leveled by Jack Elliott getting back on defense. So the Hornets unable to line up a scoring opportunity, but they will get another crack at this game on offense.
That was a fantastic effort. No giving up on that play. You understand, as we've talked about the transition, those are the plays that can really make a difference in this game. The score is going to be tight the entire way. There's no really getting away from that, especially for a few runs here and there. So understand the hustle stats. Those are the ones that might decide this one.
Jake Russ misplayed that pass from Riley Mitchell as he jogged back in to join the offense. This could be disaster for Lynchburg. Generals on the run. That pass just off the mark to Brown. A brilliant play design. Brown once again, right place, right time, unable to finish it off.
And that's just IQ from Hadley, too, disrupting early, trying to get that ground ball. Really just want to keep Lynchburg in a spot throughout this game where as we've touched on, you don't want him to face as many shots. We know that WNL's goalkeeping staff is facing a few less per game, but tell you one thing, defense to offense.
Riley Hastings with a couple words to share after the quarterback from around the back. He wraps it and scores it. Riley Hastings has another, and Lynchburg has its first lead of the day.
One of the alphas from Alpharetta making it look easy. 2-1 lead Lynchburg. Again, every single goal feels like there's just a little extra emphasis. That's what you want to do, though. We've got him going early. We'll see if it extends to the rest of the Lynchburg squad.
Known for being the hamburger helper of this Lynchburg team, big assist man, has led the team in that category, or tied for the lead, I should say, each of the last 2 seasons that he's been on campus. But he's already early in this game got his 17th and 18th goals of the season. Kraus wins the faceoff, and Lynchburg now trying to stack those all-important possessions. Kraus, the Fogo, still on the field, then collides with his own teammate. It's pandemonium. Coach Kudelka wants a timeout, talk things over. His Hornets, a 2-1 lead early. It has been a brilliant start to this one.
My name is Davion Washington Jr. I have the honor of serving as the student body president. I have 5 little siblings. I'm the oldest of 6 siblings, and they look up to me. I'm setting the tone. I get to develop myself, make myself a better individual, but also I'm helping future generations, not even my family, but just future generations in general. I found my passion here. I found, the love for what I want to do. I just really had an amazing time here. It's changed, my outlook on life. You don't have to be famous to change lives. You don't have to be on the big screen or whatever. I change lives now, and I hope to continue to do that. Just same way that the University of Lynchburg has changed my life for the better.
We figured this would be a close one, knew it would be a competitive one, and we got a phenomenal crowd to boot, anchored in the middle right there at midfield by that 1999 championship team. Awesome chance to see them kind of mix it up there with the students, sort of relive the glory days for a night, if you will. We do have a close game early. 1 point separates Lynchburg and Washington and Lee. The goalkeepers have been tested early. Each has risen to the challenge. 5 saves between the 2 of them. As Lynchburg once again will set up on offense. Close game, something both of these teams have really gotten used to. If you look at Washington and Lee, it was a 1-goal loss to York early in the season, a close loss to Stevenson, a couple of close wins, a 11-10 win over Hampton-Sydney. And for Lynchburg, you can say the same thing. Hornets, obviously just a 2-goal win over Amherst. And if you go back to last year, a litany of one-score ball games. Lynchburg, especially towards the end of the year, started to really get comfortable in those games and come out on top of a lot of them. But one in which they didn't was that ODAC title game in which Washington and Lee won 12-11.
Well, they did figure it out with St. John Fisher. I think that was obviously a little more climactic than you would hope if you're a Lynchburg fan, but you understand you're going to be in those big moments against big teams, and that Amherst win this season feels like one of the first road trips where you're really capitalizing, trying to build off that momentum today.
I think it lifted some of the weights in these Lynchburg teams' legs. They looked great against Guilford in some midweek action. And you talk about resume and getting that marquee win. That was the best one to date for this Lynchburg team. And Tyler Hadley makes his 3rd save, and a great save of the day. When you talk about, yes, they get the big win, but they do it in close fashion. They had to gut that one out. It comes right after, they had a late lead against CNU, saw that slip away. I think that does a lot to add to the confidence as well.
That's what starts to matter, right? Because the postseason isn't going to be 10-plus goal games, and we've seen Lynchburg get it done in the conference. We've seen WNL get it done in the conference. But when you have these types of contests, especially in a part of the schedule that will be favorable for both of these squads, you really think, again, this one starts to matter just a little bit more.
Both teams unbeaten in the conference slate so far. WNL 5-0, Hornets 3-0. Roanoke took down Hampton-Sydney earlier today, 14-8 in the D3 Lax game of the week to preserve their unbeaten mark in conference play. So the question is just which of these two teams will join them at the top when April 6th turns into April 7th.
We know that these two teams shared that top spot in the preseason poll, but Roanoke and Hampton-Sydney, they are always going to be there. We've seen them in conference tournaments.
I'll throw Randolph-Macon in there as well, and to join that, throwing in a shot, another one of those first years for Lynchburg, Brody Mason, some early playing time. Lynchburg has gone to its third-line midfield. That includes veterans in Ian McCarthy and Grant Voigt, unable to come up with a score once again. A low-scoring first quarter. Contact far away from the goal. It was applied from Hillis Burns, phenomenal attacker for this Washington Lee team. You talk about veteran presences. Burns, a guy that's been around. Hornets took exception to it. Officials say play on.
For second thought, Brody Mason overcommitted too on that pass because if it got by, WNL had numbers. So good work for this defense to know when to apply the pressure. You don't want to leave Hadley exposed in the back.
Feels like it's been a moment since the Generals really got a great shot that they loved coming out of the timeout. A bit of a hectic sequence. They did get the shot off that was stopped by Hadley, but feels like it's been a couple of minutes since we've seen the last true General possession. They're lining one up right now, some space on the near side, but the pass mishandled. Maybe some early game jitters right now, and Lynchburg will make you pay. Season high, 16 caused turnovers against Guilford. There is another one for today's tally. Darren Palma having a phenomenal junior campaign, and that gets the Hornets out of the quarter. Washington and Lee trying to tack on another and tie things up, but the Hornets preserve a low-scoring lead after one.
Welcome to the Campus Recreational Department at the University of Lynchburg. We believe in a student-centered approach to recreation, making sure that all students have fun and engaging activities that promotes wellness, personal growth, and community building.
Our team works to provide a variety of recreation opportunities for all our undergrad and graduate students.
Let's take a look at the different areas of Campus Rec.
Campus Recreation covers all outdoor recreation. Our team offers dozens of trips per semester, maintains recreation facilities on campus, and offers outdoor certificates and leadership training.
Intramurals is open to all students who wants to play on a team. We have men's, women's, and co-ed leagues for each sport we offer.
We knew possessions would be huge and turnovers always a big factor. But Evan, I'll turn it over to you for tonight's gateways to success for these pair of powerhouse programs.
Well, sometimes it's nice to get a quarter, too, for a sample size before you look at this. For WNL, locking the door. Lynchburg doesn't clear like they did last year. Now 81%, WNL at 90%. And so that possession, as we've talked about, makes a really big impact as well, sharing the wealth. Keep Hadley moving in the goal. They're averaging 9 assists per game on 16 goals. For Lynchburg, it's a firing frenzy. WNL saves 49% of shots to Lynchburg's 55%, so make them work. And then, hey, home sweet home. Code Red Night couldn't get any better. You got everybody on the sideline. It's been living up to its name.
Well, and the goalies have certainly been working early on in this one. Still showing 2 on the big board for Tyler Hadley. In my head, I'm going to give him 3. He had that one coming out of the timeout. Again, a hectic sequence, but I'm going to give him the save for that one. So that's 3 apiece for these two goalkeepers that have both been tested early, yet here we are looking at that 2-1 early advantage. Hadley tested immediately out of the break as Washington and Lee claims a face-off victory, something we'll follow very closely throughout this game. But, Evan, I think the point on clearing is certainly huge. That's something Lynchburg is starting to climb back up to the mark it was at last year, but still maybe not happy with where it's at. Hadley out of the goal. Ulrichs trying to cover for it. I'm not sure what was going on there. The goal's going to count. Hadley pleading his case maybe that it was a crease violation, but I think just surprised at how open they were was the Washington Lee offense. Hadley leaves the back of the goal to chase down the ball. you got to feel really confident, Evan, that you're going to get to that ball if you're going to give up your spot in the goal. Credit to Ulrichs trying to step in there and stop it, but Hadley leaving his post.
And Leif Smith recognized it too. Even if you have numbers in the back, if you're Hadley there, obviously, like you said, you have to be certain in that case. Now it's 2-2, but I think that Lynchburg's defense still, you like the pressure if you're Coach Godelka. We've seen it a few times, those types of plays that are adding up, and then W&L face-off victory again.
Watch out, Spano's got 3 goals on the year, looking for number 4. He just about had it on the bounce shot. And that does not look like a freshman out there, Evan. Spano right out of the midfield circle. He's getting knocked around like a pinball, just keeps his balance, maintains his presence on the field, and gets a great look at the shot. Tyler Hadley's presence defers it as it bounces over the goal.
Well, to have a freshman in that role is one thing, but for a top 10 program is another, leading the team in ground balls and faceoffs through the 12 games this season. And so you just understand you can rely on him. He's going to be there for the big moments.
First possession of the second quarter for Lynchburg, a high-flying, high-scoring team. Riley Hastings has done it all early on today. Came in 16 goals, 15 assists, ranking third on the team in points. He ranks first today with both of Lynchburg's goals.
We've seen that isolation, too. I think Lynchburg likes that matchup, just trying to get him activated and calibrated.
They're going to need to get Rust into the mix as well. He's got a turnover early on. Cost Lynchburg a possession. Riley Mitchell, someone whose name we haven't called a lot. Let's call it right now. Riley Mitchell dials one up. It's off the mark. Another goalie out of position. Can the Hornets chase him down? They cannot. Credit to another freshman playing a position of magnitude for the Generals, getting out of harm's way and kickstarting another possession, another clear for this Generals team.
I love what we've seen from DeCane, too, because he's one of those guys where, yeah, you're in goal for a really good team, but he's faced so many shots, 80 saves coming into this game, and you can just tell his IQ for the game, he really feels like he's supposed to be there.
Surprised that Jack Elliott didn't take advantage of that mismatch with a much smaller Dylan Wolf. Now, Wolf loves contact. He'll be the first person to admit that, but Jack Elliott, a very large frame on a very large Generals team. Here comes W&L, the lone goal of the second quarter. That knotted us back up at 2 in a game where arguably the goalies have stolen the show early on. Top of the key, making a play, nowhere to go. Runs out of space, does Menino, first goal scorer of the day for the Generals. Back to Elliott.
Menino's had the ball on his stick a lot too early, so you can tell the Generals maybe targeting that, trying to open up others, but that's one way to lose in offensive possessions. Lots of unforced errors really starting to tally up for W&L.
Well, Henry Merendon was in the back pocket of Hillis Burns. I don't know that that necessarily caused the errant pass, but nonetheless, Parker Seeley dials one up. It's another post shot. How many of those have we seen already? 4, 5?
They are painting.
They're accurate. It's just going to come down to where you placing the ball. Still that 2-2 score early on. 9 saves already.
It's probably a goalie's worst nightmare too early in the game because you're seeing so many close shots. Very few are just going to go skying over, and so you got to be ready at all times. And both teams have that personnel that is willing to shoot from further out.
Well, it's nerve-wracking, but, I think when you play that goalie position, you got to sort of be built from iron or steel, whatever you want to come up with, strong material. You're ready for the big moment. You cherish it, and they have both risen to the occasion early on in this one. Another stop for the Lynchburg defense. Hornets will work to clear. Haven't faced much pressure from the Generals in the backfield today. That's something that a couple teams have had success with against Lynchburg. Salisbury in particular threw a lot of pressure in that third quarter where they broke that game open.
And we know that that's just a part of the game that Lynchburg can really start to control if they do the little things and build it up. That foundation is so crucial. We've seen them take care of business early today, and that's why they're getting these shots, because there's so many openings. Timing has been on.
So here's Mitchell, who missed the first 4 games of the season with injury. He's starting to get things rolling again. He had 5 points in the win over Amherst. Did not score against Guilford, but did make his first start of the season. It's going to be hard to take him off the field today. Dylan Wolf, his pocket picked. As Washington in lead takes it away once again. Chris Datz picks the pocket of double fives. And the general, I mean, they just make it look easy. Passes on the money. You can see why they're 90% on the season on the clear. That shot off the mark and down on the turf. We'll check the number. Seems to be okay. Looks like it's Haley, reigning Offensive Player of the Week in the Old Dominion Athletic Conference. Take a look at it again. Yeah, he just a high one there from Schmidt, who did not extend, but can't imagine that felt great against Haley. And Evan, we haven't even mentioned this yet. We got the reigning ODAC Offensive Player of the Week taking on the reigning ODAC Defensive Player of the Week. Now, that's not a one-on-one matchup, but Haley versus Hadley. Well, we're just missing one letter, too. You know, it's going to be one to watch all day.
I think they saw these two programs, and they're like, yeah, it's not enough. Let's just add another accolade.
That one off the mark. I think everybody was ready to celebrate a goal there. Once again, a ring of the post. It's like somebody's playing Jingle Bells down there.
Talked about Haley, too. He's on a 5-game goal streak. So many of these players are wetting it. Hey, I don't believe in the announcer's curse. We might have just done it.
Well, there you go. Haley sneaks one past his extra consonanted friend, Tyler Hadley. Point Washington and Lee, point Haley, who, like you said, Evan, he is having a phenomenal campaign this year, an emerging star for this Generals team. We've talked a little bit about the deep offensive firepower for Lynchburg. Washington and Lee, if there's a team in the country that's going to compete with that, it's the Generals, certainly within the conference, but really in the country as a whole. Now, obviously, they're ranked number 10 in the land. You expect them to be one of the best offenses out there, averaging about 16 goals a game, but it's not just that one guy. Alex Brown, he's a big piece of the pie, but Haley, Hillis Burns, Jack Elliott, go down the list. There's a lot of contributors.
Well, Brown and Menino are seniors on the squad, but almost everybody else is coming back, and it's just so crucial to get that confidence now, because you know that next year you're not really losing a piece of the puzzle if you can replace it, especially in those really prime-time spots on the field.
Evan, we've gotten a first-hand look at some Generals who can score as well. I don't know how good Jack Donchermont is with a lacrosse stick, but he's pretty efficient scoring on the basketball courts. I don't know. He's got a big frame as well. He might fit the mold.
Listen, they are no strangers to finding the scoring, and WNL, just one of those teams. They won it early, up one right now, so you're feeling comfortable. But listen, Lynchburg cannot let the moment escape. You have to stay engaged, especially in this first half. We anticipate this being a matchup that doesn't escape a 1 or 2 goal deficit, but you can't rely on that. You got to start finding the scoring now.
This is a big pivotal swing. 2-1 break. Hadley scampers back into goal, lining up the shot and scoring. First one of the day for Alex Brown. He caused the turnover and turned it right into a goal. His first of the day. His ODAC leading 46th of the season. That's a guy, Evan, that looks to score. 46 goals to 3 assists. He's the recipient of the big-time feeds, but that time he did it all himself.
Sometimes it's easy as Mr. AB seeing the goal firing away. Listen, he's the guy who's going to be in the moments. He wants it. He gets it. Now WNL up 2, and once again, Lynchburg really has to start with the face-off.
Well, that was big time. You talk about just simple physics. Darren Palma trying to clear by himself with the long stick. You just get a lot more leverage in there from the regular size stick that Alex Brown's toting, and he's able to just sort of rip that one free and then does well to collect it from one of Lynchburg's best guys in scooping up ground balls on the roster. Washington and Lee, they've got their first advantage since early in this game, and they've got it by a pair. They're going to talk over this offensive set, looking to push this lead to 3.
Being a part of the different activities and organizations that I've been a part of, I'm actually able to see myself where I'm like, hey, I actually can make a change. I'm one person that can make a difference.
Division III has helped me to develop teamwork skills, critical thinking skills, time management skills.
It's not just about basketball, or it's not just about school. It's about developing yourself as a person altogether.
Football has taught me a lot throughout my life. It's definitely had a huge imprint on who I am as a person. Competing at a Division III level created that opportunity for me to go to college. Not only was I the first one in my family to graduate college, but I was really the first one to even go. Being the first one, I'm breaking that cycle, and now that I've graduated, I'm not sure what's the next step, but I know I have a lot of doors open. And a lot of those are open because I played football and ran track here at Otterbein.
You talk about big moments in a game. Well, let's look at this one. What a big one for WNL's Alex Brown. Gets the takeaway, slams the door shut, and now WNL up 2. They got the timeout. Feels like they have the momentum. Could be a big part of this game, especially when we're still just in the second quarter.
Well, and you talk about putting your goalkeepers in good positions. You know, we know Tyler Hadley having to retreat back into the goal. He thought Lynchburg was going to be set up to clear, and Alex Brown, the attacker, has something to say about it. Just those plays that maybe you don't account for, and Hadley maybe just not fully set to defend that shot. And if you could pick out of a hat who you want to face the shot of, you probably don't want to get Alex Brown, one of the best strokes in the conference.
Sam, one thing we haven't talked about, too, when you look at shooting and goalkeeping, both these teams coming off a win by 10 or more goals, and so you understand that the goalies weren't as tested that last game. And, yeah, you have practice reps, but you really just have to stay engaged, especially as we've talked about in the ODAC. You have a few matchups where you're scoring a lot. How can you get these guys going early?
Hitting the deck, and now a scramble for the ball. WNL comes away with it for now, but Lynchburg, how about the intensity on this defensive possession? 7 on the shot clock. General's got to go. Far away, behind the back. How about that? Never going to get the shot off. That was a Sports Center nominee in training, but before the shot came off, the ball is knocked loose. A shot clock violation forced by the Lynchburg defense, and we got a player down.
It's one of those plays, too, that with Ulrichs, it felt like he was just a little bit behind the play before the behind-the-back maneuver. And obviously, if you're Lynchburg, you feel like you get away with one there. Hoping the injury isn't bad. It's a part of the season where, you start thinking about the postseason being in April. You understand it's really not that far away. It's just about a month out. And so you want to make sure that you're really sharpening your stuff.
Players are going to jog off the field. We'll let the athletic training staff tend to the injured man for Lynchburg. We'll be back in just a moment.
College has given me the flexibility to pursue my passions and my interests, and I've recreated my identity for myself aside from just being an athlete.
My greatest personal discovery has been that I am capable of doing things that I didn't know I was capable of doing.
To be able to study what I wanted to and continue to play the sport I love, all of those things came together very nicely in one package in Division III.
Take a look at that play again as Lynchburg defense forces a shot clock violation. Unfortunate situation there as Alex Blanchard for Lynchburg there, 53, gets tangled up behind the man with the ball for Washington and Lee. James Haley was trying to make a play late in the shot clock and just kind of falls into the backside of Blanchard, but he does walk off under his own power. He'll be attended to. This Lynchburg athletic training staff. But, you don't want to bury the lead there. Lynchburg, a big-time defensive stop. They had a lot of intensity on that possession. They go the full 80 seconds. That's not going to put points on the board, but it almost feels like scoring a goal when you can do that, and it draws us even now, one shot clock violation apiece.
Let's just go into hypotheticals, too. Let's say Haley gets that goal. He would have getting jazzy with the behind the back, but that's a 3-goal game, and now you understand Lynchburg can make it back to 1. It's those little moments that we don't pay attention to as the puzzle really comes into the full picture. You got to look back at some of them.
When you want to talk about something that would have gotten the sideline fired up, I mean, a behind-the-back stick play, line up a shot. If that one had gone down into the shot clock, yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Evan. That would have been a big momentum swing as well. But Lynchburg gets out of it, and they're back to it on offense. Finn Schmidt is going to try to get things rolling. Hastings has both goals for Lynchburg. We'll see if they feed him. Right now it's Wolf making a good play, but another near miss for the Hornets.
Feel like it's a big spot for Lynchburg. We know WNL's clear percentage being so high. It's kind of slowed down now as the game, and so you understand that if you could slow it and get these set looks, you might have some more success if you're Lynchburg.
Hornets tout a near top 25 shot percentage across the country, shooting an uncharacteristic 2 of 14 right now. That's all the credit in the world to the W&L defense. 0 of 2 on this possession, but they maintain possession. Caught up in the armor there for Spencer Vandenberg was his jersey. It doesn't matter. Spencer Vandenberg strikes again. He's been on a heater as of late, and Lynchburg draws one goal closer.
Goal number 13 for Mr. Vandenberg, and it is so timely. You want to get one of your star players going. We saw what he did last year coming back for this sophomore campaign. He's saying, what, slump? No, it's way too early to start the narratives.
Spencer Vandenberg, 3 goals against Guilford, his second hat trick of the season. He was ready for this game. We talked to him post-game. He gets on the board, so now it's Hastings 2, Vandenberg 1. Counteract a game that still favors the Generals. The road team has won the last 4 meetings. They're up 4-3 right now.
That's a big call, too. W&L is going to get possession, and it is a game of inches. You saw really 5 different players who could have gotten it on the spot, but the line is called. Now the Generals, chance to strike back.
Jack Elliott's going to try to get it going once again, sort of acting as that point man. Top of the offense. Haley's been active. Hillis Burns, he's got it right now.
We saw that shot, too. You're going across your body, almost falling away from the goal. We know Elliott can shoot it, but obviously, again, showing that confidence. Really similar look there.
Generals have spread the love early on. Sam Menino uncorked the scoring. First goal of the day on either side. He was trying to line up another one there. He's now 1 of 3 on the day. He has the ball once again. General's going to work it around. Half the shot clock burned. Spin move. Rolls to the goal. Didn't like the look. Coming out of the X again. A jump, a stop, a pop. Striking again is James Haley. Didn't hit the highlight reel on the last Generals possession, but he does one better right there because he finishes it off in the goal. Generals push the lead back to 2.
We mentioned he was the ODAC Offensive Player of the Week, and some of that heat is sticking around because he is looking sharp early in this game. W&L back up by 2.
So you go right back to that 2-goal hole if you're Lynchburg, and you can breathe a little easier once again if you're Washington and Lee. We go back to that battle at midfield. Generals had to scrap around for it, but they do well to come away with the ball, and then you turn it into a goal. You got to make the most. Quick spin move to clear once again for Washington and Lee. We'll have to check that clear percentage. Naked eye says it is 100% so far for the Generals. They've been clean and crisp on the passing early on, and that has served them well on the road. It can be easy to get rattled sometimes. Code red, hostile environment. Generals have been up for the challenge so far.
Well, we will corroborate 9 for 9 clear percentage right now. Generals as perfect as it's going to get, and that's a reason that they are up right now because they are just continuing to eliminate the turnovers as well. They have 8 turnovers. That's a number they've struggled with, 20 in 6 games this season. But when you're clearing it well, you're getting those transition opportunities, you're going to get a few more looks.
We'll see what looks Lynchburg throws at them, trying to limit that clear percentage. So far, everything they're trying, it's back to the drawing board. Off the screen, good rotation by Lynchburg. Zacharias picks up Menino. That one, whew, that was a near miss for Lynchburg. Tyler Hadley picks up an assist from the top of the goalpost, and it just happens to ricochet out of the goal line. So Lynchburg keeps that possession clean.
Don't know how that one stayed out. You're like escaping the attic at that point.
Ulrichs, the long stick, does well to clear for Lynchburg, who will set up a new offensive possession. They scored on their last one. Spencer Vandenberg got his jersey all tangled up and ironed it out with a goal.
That is one way to put it. Spencer Vandenberg, you just talk about somebody you want to have the ball in his stick, and you're really showing what these other players can do with isolation.
Watch out right here. Not going to draw him up any better than that. A pair of graduate students, Mitchell to Wolf. You don't draw up chemistry like that. That's built with blood, sweat, and tears. Dylan Wolf, the last man on the field in Thursday night's practice, He draws up the rep right there. We've seen that play design a million times.
Don't want to say it's a quick hitter, but the way that it formulates has such a good look, too, because you know Mitchell is getting all the attention. Wolf won't mind taking a stab at it on his own.
Well, and you know, if you read the scouting report, Mitchell, he loves to pop off that screen, line one up right dead center. If he gets any space, he actually had a little space there, thought he might pull the trigger, but then you have the second screen, flips it over to Wolf coming the other way. And how about Wolf, the little left-handed shot, just an absolute rocket, sneaks by DeCane.
Goal number 21 this season. You talked about him being a grad student. You see that so many times with COVID, but one characteristic of having that number of grad students is you understand that your players know they can do something special, and I think for these two teams, they have these grads because they're looking at something beyond just an ODAC championship.
Those grad students came back to play in big games like this and more to follow. Finn Schmidt tried to knot us back up at 5 apiece, but he is stopped by DeCane. Swing there for the Generals goalkeeper. You let one get by you, stop the next one. You can keep on with that 50-50, holding a 1-goal lead. You'll probably be just fine.
One thing in the last few minutes, really this quarter, Lynchburg had a pretty big shot advantage in that first, and now just 17-16. Obviously, that's not the only characteristic that wins games, but you can tell that they haven't had it as much. W&L starting to really fall into that patient playing style on offense.
Shot percentage on both sides climbing northward in this second quarter. Down looking at potentially last possession of the half for the Generals. Got a chance to send themselves into the break with an advantage. Haley's got a pair of goals. He's got the ball behind the goal, trying to shake Steve Ulrichs. Ulrichs did not play last season. He's come back and had a great year in his senior campaign. A good frame that Lynchburg can throw in there today to counteract the Generals' attackmen. Reset with 10. Late in the shot clock again goes Washington and Lee, and they haven't really found a good look yet. Elliott trying to find somebody to help out. Jogging on last second, 2 seconds. Burns lines it up. It was on target. Hadley with it all the way. Another big-time stop for the Lynchburg defense. Risky play there, but I do like it from Washington and Lee. Throw that substitution there at the last second. Burns jogs in with 3 seconds left on the ticker. Lynchburg hasn't accounted for him.
And good work from Hadley to not give up too and understand, even though that shot clock is dying, that shot could still get off.
This could be the last play of the half. Generals working quickly off the caused turnover. Doorstep, sidestep. Alex Brown stopped by Hadley, chucks it ahead. That burns the first half. What a sequence to wrap it up. Alex Brown was looking for goal number 2. We do have 2 seconds left on the clock. Generals will toss one the vicinity of the goal, but it wasn't even close. 5-4, the mark at the end of the half. Frustration for Alex Brown, the lead man for this Generals team. He knows he might have left one right there on the doorstep to take us into halftime. We'll be back in just a few moments to break down what we've seen so far. A beautiful night in the Hill City that's only going to get better for the 30 minutes to come.
Want to have some outdoor adventures while getting a degree at the same time? At the University of Lynchburg, we have an on-campus zip line and rope course. Plus, we offer adventure trips that cost less than a cup of coffee. And did I mention our beautiful scenery? We're a university for students looking for something more than just books. Welcome to your new adventure experience.
I wanted to be a physical therapist probably starting about halfway through college. I love the concept that exercise is medicine. You know, we're starting to discover that exercise really can remedy many of the things that we thought that only surgery or only drugs could remedy in the past. When the student comes here, it's because we believe in them, it's because we want them here, it's because we believe they'll be successful. The faculty here are devoted to their development, not only academically but also professionally. We're not so inundated with things that we don't have time to make students one of our highest priorities. We have your back. We're gonna help you through that. If you're willing to work, then we're willing to put the work into it and the effort to help you succeed.
All right, my name is Joshua Carr. I am a senior. I am a theater major as well as a history minor. I love the arts. I love acting. I love entertaining. I live in 5th Street, the historic black neighborhood. The money came in, transfer, scholarship, all that. I appreciate that greatly. I pay my own tuition. I ain't got no help. I pay everything myself. I mean, I'm smart too. So they gave it like, you smart, here, here. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate that though. You come here to do a job. I came here to do a job. A student's job is to get that degree and make something of ourselves. We got everything for you. We got you a 24-hour library. You got these sorority fraternities. We got the shoot for you. Is you gonna put it on? That's how University of Lynchburg is. Success is in the details. You know what I'm saying? It's like you learn it, know better, do better.
The men between the posts have stolen the show. Generals were trying to turn defense to offense and sneak one past Mr. Hadley right before the break, but zero in white denies his 6th save of the first half. And get ready, it is a full-blown 4-alarm holiday emergency on Schellenberger Field. Fire alarm going off in Westover Dorm. Now, we do hope that that's, just a routine fire alarm, or maybe it's a strategy. Get more people out here to pack the track. We got a good group out there right now, one that we think will probably grow through this second half. Evan, we've played to a near draw through the first 30 minutes, a 5-4 advantage for the visitors, who, of course, have won 4 straight in the series.
Well, we had some flaming performances. I didn't know it was going to get that hot in the dorms, but you know what? Well, I digress. Listen, this is a game that is really shaped up to, I think, what we expected. We knew it was going to be close, 17 apiece in the shot column. It has just been the little things that it feels like WNL is capitalizing on, especially in that second quarter, getting more patient offense, but Lynchburg's defense is starting to steal the show. You mentioned Tyler Hadley, what he brings to the table. I feel like the goalies could really dictate what happens later in this game.
Well, and important to note, too, those clears, just one missed opportunity on the day. So, obviously, Generals are winning that, category, but we don't want to say Lynchburg's done a bad job by any means, well over 90%, and their mark on the season, I should say, 81. So both teams might try to throw a couple different looks to try and slow down the other one on the clear, but it's going to have to be business as usual in terms of getting the ball across, setting up those possessions. Teams have taken care of business in that regard. So we got the second half coming up now. Evan, you sort of, look at this game so far, just sort of pick one player on each side that maybe has stood out so far, or maybe somebody that you'd like to see get going a little bit more in the second half.
Ooh, I like James Haley for WNL. And obviously, yeah, you look at the shots, you look at some of the acrobatics that he's brought to the table, you understand what he can do, and we know the Generals can get it done at a high rate, but it starts with attracting attention on this offensive side. If Haley can keep going, keep scoring goals, then everybody else is going to get into it. And then for Lynchburg, let's just go with Hadley. Hadley had that save, momentum starting for Lynchburg to end that first half. You got to carry it now, and I think that veteran presence, not just Hadley, but so many others on this Hornets squad, they know what it means now. They've been in these tight games, just got to tie the bow.
And we don't want to leave out DeCane in goal for Washington and Lee either. He was phenomenal in that first half. Step for step with Hadley. He gets to the break, 6 saves to his name as well. So both of these goalkeepers north of 50% save percentages through that first half, mirroring or even a little bit better than their marks coming into today. We'll throw one more name to look at on the General side of things, Hillis Burns, somebody that they threw in with that interesting look there on their last full possession. Sent him in 3 seconds left on the shot clock, and he got a good look at it from distance. We'll see if that's somebody they maybe get going. And then Alex Brown, of course, denied right there at the end of the half. Saw a little bit of frustration. He's the leading man. Look to see him maybe dial things in the second half.
Well, WNL's offense is going to be razor sharp when they get those chances. And for Lynchburg, they have 6 turnovers. They're averaging 17.5, but you can't commit those turnovers going backwards. And we saw that in that final play. You really are just in no man's land at that point. And then when you get those isolation, you can't expect Hadley to do absolutely everything. And so if Lynchburg can just continue to clean that up, work by committee, I think they're going to have a good result.
Well, and I tell you what, Evan, how fun is it and how indicative is it of the energy level on the field when we only have a 10-minute halftime to begin with and both teams ready to go pretty much a full minute early? We're not even going to have to wait through the rest of this halftime break. Coaches, the messaging's already been done. Coming into this game, these teams know what's at stake. They know what's expected of them from a coaching perspective. They just want to play the game now, and I think it's going to be a really exciting second half.
Sometimes you even throw the stat sheet out the window. Understand it's just hustle plays. Who wants it more? Who's going to grit it out? And that's what really starts to matter. The fire alarm's still on, too. We're going to have a sparking start.
How about it? Michael Kraus right out of the break. The Fogo, his first goal of the season. A little pump fake. He says, hey, you want it? I got it. Michael Kraus takes the lid off. We're knotted up at 5 apiece.
Face. Mikey Kraus makes it look easy. He's not going to go to the sideline. He says, bring me right back to the middle where it matters, when it matters. Folks, we got a tie ball game.
We know the face-off's important, even more so when your face-off man can go ahead and right off rip, tack on a goal. We'll see if there's an answer. Spano, assist is what he was looking for, but off the mark once again was Haley. Does have 2 goals to his name, but a little more trouble as of late. Haley has it right now. Second opportunity for the Generals. 1-1 in the face-off column to get this second half going.
WNL maybe takes advantage, too, because you understand Kraus is going to be a little tired from that last play. You get the face-off, and I think Haley is really feeling like he missed one.
Turned around in the spin cycle, a battle for it. Lynchburg's going to come away with it. Ignites the sidelines. Alex Blanchard saw him shaken up earlier, throws his body on the line again to shield off the Generals. I believe it was Haley that he was battling for the ball with and collects it for the Hornets. Possession arrow, Lynchburg, and its first offensive set of the half.
Anytime you have a play in front of your own sideline, the swarms right in front of you, you got to feel good. Now Lynchburg, chance to retake this lead.
Can't escape it on this field, whether it's the sideline on one end, the fans on the other. They're all around, and Washington and Lee, a great contingent, making the trip from Lexington. Only about an hour. You cut through the mountains. They're here in full force as well.
Finn Schmidt with the shot. Haven't talked about him a lot. 14 goals coming into this game. Another crucial piece of this offense. Another guy you'd like to get going.
Mitchell. Generals have been all over him. An unorthodox shot there. Mitchell did not get all of that one. It's collected by Schmidt. Stays on this end. Schmidt, defender on his back. Lynchburg will work it around. Rust, he's been very quiet today, trying to come alive. Goes low to high there and just about took a couple of pixels out of the scoreboard.
Hornets had some more isolation on that play. This is a motion offense, but you see some one-on-ones maybe trying to expose them.
Hastings, a decent look at it. As the shot clock grew thin, about 15 seconds left. He had the first 2 goals of the day to fire up this Lynchburg offense. Been a little more quiet since then. Nonetheless, the Hornets have found the goals that they've needed to claw back into this game. They trailed at 5-3, battled it back to tie it up at 5.
This feels like a stretch that is really going to start to matter because these patient looks, we're seeing these elongated offensive possessions, they're going to start to add up, and those shots, they are not missing by much.
Menino with his defender on his back. Believe it was Dylan Schuster, another long stick for Lynchburg. You get to see that speed in full effect. Mentioned the athleticism. That's how a lot of these shots have been drawn up. Generals just using any advantage they can find. And that's sometimes just putting your body on the line or, showcasing what your body can do, just outrunning your opponent if they throw those one-on-one looks at you.
And we haven't seen penalties like we've seen in games before. Maybe that helps Lynchburg, too, because last year, second in the country in man-up opportunities. That stat has gone down. I wouldn't say that it is a struggle for Lynchburg, but we know that anytime you're full force, you're ready to go.
Generals working it around. Late in the shot clock again. Do they know it? With 2 seconds, no. They know it at the end as they just toss it away, but the Generals, it's no longer a 5-3 advantage. You might need to look to be a little more aggressive in trying to dial up some shots. They only got off 1 that entire possession. You can live with getting late in the shot clock when you're getting off 2-3 shots and testing the goalkeeper, but to get 1 and essentially take the shot clock violation, that's not really what you want. Hadley, 1 goal to his name in his career, puts one on frame, but it is saved. DeCane trying to answer for the Generals. An open net for Lynchburg, not exploited. The second time of the day that Lynchburg had an open net. Hadley took that one maybe a little earlier than he would have liked. Defense collapsing around him. It's calmly saved by DeCane. That could have been another disaster situation for Lynchburg.
There are those unforced errors, and WNL knows it. It's just those open lanes. Those are the goals that they're missing right now. That's why this game is tied. Lynchburg looking to add on.
Dylan Wolf, 1 goal to his name, came off the assist from his classmate Mitchell. Schmidt working to the left. Defender wasn't ready for it. Pass inside. Hastings didn't like what he saw. Back out for Lynchburg.
Those are the IQ plays for Lynchburg that you might not have seen in recent seasons. What they're doing, they're slowing it down, getting the better look. There you go. Lynchburg leads.
Last time he went to his left. This time Finn Schmidt to the right. Drops it off for number 1, Uno. Riley Mitchell finds the scoring board. 10:26 to go in the third quarter. His first goal of the season on this field. That's got to be a little special for him, but not one to get caught up in the little victories. He wants the big one when that clock hits triple zeros.
When the window opens, you got to climb through. That was a beautiful look. Cutting and timing at the perfect time, and now Lynchburg has the advantage, but maybe not for long.
WNL's Fogo trying to test Hadley in goal. Spano. Mentioned, don't see Krause score as much. Spano, the same cannot be said. He has 3 goals, and how about 3 assists as well? Already in the second half, we've seen him take a shot and seen him try to line up an assist. A good look that Haley got off that last face-off win for the Generals, just wasn't able to connect. Active in the offense, always an advantage when you have a face-off guy that can do two things.
Sometimes when you're a transition style team, if you're on the field, if you're on the turf, you're on offense. And we know that Lynchburg is not limiting who takes the shots, who gets involved.
Menino right to the stick, might as well have been a pass. Hornets trying to get out on the break. Here come the Hornets. Zingo, the defenseman on offense. Lynchburg will slow it down and get those substitutions in. Mitchell in, there's one. Wolf will join the party. And we'll wait to see Jake Rust. Evan, we'll mention too, you mentioned that man up, Mark. We have not had a penalty in this game. It's been physical, but the officials letting them play. Dylan Wolf, watch out. Side step, back step. Here comes Jake Rust again on the way in. He mishandles the pass. That's the same turnover as last time. Now out on the break, Riley Albrecht, he'll pull out for the Generals. But look at that, Jake Rust jogging in. That's the second time today, just whiffing on the pass.
Rust has had some struggles in that spot, and that's where when you've seen Hastings too, when he's bringing it outside, we know the two Rileys like to be on that outside. You really just got to time when you're getting those other teammates into the picture, and we've seen Lynchburg, again, just get caught really out the back door today.
Uncharacteristic issues for the leading scorer of each of the last two seasons in the goal department for this Lynchburg team. He had 41 a year ago. Jake Rust has 28 to his name this year. He's just had a little trouble getting going. It's resulted in 2 turnovers for a Lynchburg team that has not had many.
Well, 28 goals leads the team, too. He was fiery in the start, just trying to find it again.
2 6-goal games to his name already for Rust. Lynchburg, another defensive stop. Right now, the defense, it feels like, is the story. Hadley sort of sticks out for his play in goal. I wouldn't say there's been one defenseman that's sort of carrying the load on that end for Lynchburg, but the group effort has certainly been there. Everybody's getting an A on the group project today.
Well, and you know these two teams are averaging 14 and 16 goals a game, and so anytime you get tougher competition, yeah, you're going to see fewer goals, but not at this rate. Lynchburg and W&L have really tuned in.
Knock your socks off. Liam Holman, the rookie's on the field. Holman strikes back. Lynchburg, its largest lead of the day, at a pair. Holman, that wasn't a freshman play. He stepped into that one with confidence. Dial it up, Liam Holman. Hornets lead at 7-5.
Long-range artillery, my friend, and they are not afraid. We touched on it to begin this game. You got to shoot if you want goals. You got to be willing to make the hard plays. Lynchburg putting up highlight material. Get the mixtape started.
Liam Holman steps up to the plate, knocks it down. It's Riley Frankel in on the face-off there. It's what we've seen so far. Stano's taken all of them for the Generals. His face-off win is a win for W&L as a group. Jay O'Keefe, the defender out of Richmond, he converts on the face-off win. We'll see if it's an assist that goes down in the name of Tyler Spano. But how about Jay O'Keefe, his first goal of the season?
Number 4 saying not for long. Lynchburg wants to have the energy. You got to keep everybody silent. In a game like this, when you know these teams have been meeting time and time again, it just feels like it's a little bit extra riding on the crowd, on the student section. Try to silence them. W&L getting it done.
We figured this game probably would never see more than 2, maybe 3 goals between these two teams. Well, so far that's held true. 2 goals, the largest lead. Both teams have held a 2-goal lead at some point. W&L's done it twice. But the Generals battle back to make it a 1-score game again. We're midway through the third quarter, and we're having all sorts of fun on a Code Red night in April. Men's Lax, the sole focus on campus right now. Every warm body is right here, hanging with us on Schellenberger Field.
W&L, we know their history with Lynchburg, but they've had 5 games decided by 1 or 2 goals this season. They're 3-2 in those contests. You're probably going to see the 6th today, and what does this do for the postseason? You know you're preparing at a very high rate.
Hillis Burns thought he'd have a pretty good look at it. Lynchburg catches up to him. He's going to try the other side. Burns cut off again. That pass kind of got away. We're going to reset. Just an odd sequence of events there as Hillis Burns just sort of threw that one up into the air. But here comes Lynchburg back up on offense. Last goal was the first of the season for Jay O'Keefe. That cut the deficit that had very briefly grown to 2 for Lynchburg back down to 1, but the Hornets a chance to extend it yet again.
That was smart contact from the Generals. You might be lucky to get away with a penalty because we know those opportunities will sometimes result in a player down, and a good shot for Lynchburg. Again, that's number 26 on the day. They're not afraid to shoot it.
Finn Schmidt took flight there, misplaced the shot. Jake Rust collects. Lynchburg resets. Rust, Wolf, Mitchell. Back line for Lynchburg. Vandenberg, Hastings, Schmidt out front. Wolf sizes up his defender, breaks to his left, invites the contact, gives off, screen. Scoop shot saved. Best save of the half for Nick DeCane, who's having himself a day.
Got to test all those different angles, and DeCane obviously is slamming the door on every single one. See the confidence. Just feels like it grows not only throughout the season, but even in a game when you can tell that you're getting into it. These goalkeepers not making the work easy. You see it on the scoreboard.
And it's the confidence for sure, but also just so calm and collected. Even when he steps away from the goal, really don't see him get sped up. And to know that you got three more years, of 55 in goal has got to be a nice feeling. Lynchburg is on the back end of having had Tyler Hadley in goal now for 3 years. I mentioned Hadley started out on the club team. They called him up to the big leagues, if you will, and he has risen to the occasion. An honorable mention All-American last year and an All-ODAC first-teamer. Menino, he fires on, stopped. Hadley kicks it out to Ulrichs. Hadley out of the goal again. Lynchburg trying to corral that. It goes out of bounds and right back to the Generals, Evan. There's an unforced error.
That's just so tough for Lynchburg's coaching staff. You do all the good work, and then you really just throw it away. But the Hornets' defense has been one of those exclamation marks today, one of the things that punctuates why they have the lead.
Fresh 80 for Elliott and the Generals. Just over 4 minutes left in the third before we give way to the all-important fourth quarter. 1 goal is the advantage for Lynchburg. It's never been more than 2. Both teams have held multiple leads in this game. Trying to flip it back into play from the X behind the goal. Elliott was forced way out of position, but still plenty of time on the 80 for WNL.
Zacharias not afraid to get physical. Nobody on Lynchburg's team is. And you just have to really shut down those lanes because WNL is exposing it, especially when we have seen some of that cutting through the middle. And obviously it's clinical stuff, but Lynchburg doing very well to get that stick up.
Menino slams on the brakes and reverses it back to the far right side. The scoop shot was off the mark for Lynchburg. It's right on target for Leif Smith. Second goal of his ledger today. And it knocks us back up at 7. That's a tough one. Tough one to draw up, tough one to convert upon, but Smith does the dirty work, sneaks it by Tyler Hadley. Not an easy task today. And here we go again, Evan, back to a tie ball game.
Smith really doesn't need a lot of space to operate. Smooth operation for WNL. You see 7 saves apiece for these two teams. Well, obviously, that is going to come with a few goals here and there, and it's no coincidence we have 7s all on the scoreboard. Then these next 3 minutes are really going to tell the story going into the fourth.
This time handling it easily is Parker Seeley. Catch, ready, aim, fire. Parker Seeley breaks the tie. 10 seconds later, Lynchburg strikes once again.
Seems like a play we saw earlier in this game. Lynchburg scored, WNL came back. The Hornets can do it too to go up 1. We talked about the next 3 minutes. There's 3:14 on the clock. We can't even get there.
And how about a 2-point day for the faceoff man, Mikey Kraus? Had a goal earlier, assisted on that one for Seeley. Seeley, an animal, absolute beast in the weight room, always brings the energy, always brings the enthusiasm. He does it after scoring his first goal of the day, and we'll check his first goal of the season. Did have an assist coming into tonight, but the defenseman, obviously you only get so many opportunities. Saw Steve Ulrich score one last week, should say earlier this week against Guilford. That time Seeley out of Severna Park, Maryland. Lynchburg back up by 1, 2:43, and they have possession once more.
Trying to share the love. Well, how about Riley Frankel getting down and dirty to get possession for Lynchburg? And once again, on the doorstep, we'll see this quick passing, but there you go, W&L, a chance to get out the back door.
That was the same play design that Wolf scored on last time, but he's unable to corral the pass. Another fast break opportunity, but W&L's a little sloppy with it. Dom Zingo, how about him trying to get out of trouble? Lynchburg, can they clear? Yes. Jake Rust, here we go. Rust loses control of it, trying to sweep it back in on the inline, out of bounds. A wild sequence at the end of it all. General's tasked with clearing. Both teams did clear there, but barely.
Didn't hear the gunfire. I don't know when the track meet started. It is all over the place, left and right, players going at it. And how about Dom Zingo, too, just trying to throw it downfield. You see, that's the approach these teams have. When you start speeding it up so much, just try to maintain possession whatever way you can rather than trying to create isolation.
First clear miss of the day. That'll get everybody on their feet, a souvenir for the Hornets student section. Off the Washington and Lee turnover. Of course, we'll say lacrosse ball is sort of a dime a dozen around campus. They just sort of pop up anywhere and everywhere. Might be hard-pressed to find someone that doesn't have a souvenir.
Talk about hard. You probably don't want to get hit by one, too, because I'll tell you one thing. These guys have pretty high velocity.
Here we go. Washington and Lee getting a little bit testy there. A little ambitious, trying to go ahead and clear it. Unable to do so. Schmidt going to try to make him pay. He's off the mark. Should stay Lynchburg ball. No, it'll go. Yes, it will stay with Lynchburg.
Such a tough angle for Schmidt to try to open up. And we saw that isolation. That's a few looks throughout the game where we've seen Lynchburg cut somebody down the middle in that case. But Schmidt taking it himself. Another possession.
New 60 to the Hornets. That one knocked out of the way, I think, by the stick of Matthew Azell. I don't even know if he was looking at the ball, just might have been right place, right time there. Sent that one ajar, wastes a couple seconds of Lynchburg's time. Schmidt checks the helmet, dials up a shot, thinks better. He's going to phone a friend instead. All around the clock, shot off the mark from Jake Rust. A big swing of the stick. That might draw the first flag of the day. It's getting chippy out there.
You love it, Sam Graham. It's almost fourth quarter. You know there's a fresh 15, and when you go back to the huddle before that final quarter, you have to imagine in the huddle there are going to be a few words here and there. You know how much these teams want it. It has to start right now.
Jake Rust going to have to keep those emotions in check. It's been a tough day for him. Understand the frustration, and I know that the ball seems to have fallen out of all of our officials' whistles. I mean, no penalties today, and that's been fun to watch them play. But like you said, Evan, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. 18 seconds to go in the third quarter. Got to keep everything in check. Can Lynchburg get one more stop, or will W&L tack on another? Crunch time, third quarter. 7 seconds. Haley cut off, hits the turf. Lynchburg, another stop at the end of the quarter. Who else? Parker Seeley. We're heading to the fourth with one goal between these two teams yet again. 12 one-score games in the series since 1999. The 99 teams in attendance, and we are well on our way to another.
Be ready for anything, okay?
Come on, let's go together. Together, let's go. Come on. Let's go, keep going.
Carry this to the desk here.
Sweet.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Good one.
guys, you see the meat grinder down here? Stay in the boat, let's go!
They say defense wins championships. Well, wait a minute. How could that be? I mean, the defense doesn't put points on the board, right? No, it's because of plays like this. They get everybody on their feet. And by the way, Parker Seeley, the sophomore defenseman, he does have a contribution on the scoreboard today. Scored a goal, his first of the season, earlier in that third quarter. We're into the fourth now. A one-score ball game, 8-7. Lynchburg leads it in the 53rd meeting by these two ODAC foes, separated by just about an hour. As you say, Evan, over the mountain through the woods. That's where Washington and Lee's campus is, Lexington, Virginia. Them and their fans out in full force on this Code Red affair.
Tell you one thing, we're going to be a little selfish because we've seen so many games on Schellenberger Field to start the spring that it's just been lopsided one way or another. Basketball season's been a little while ago. Feels like this one was just a much-needed time. We know WNL and Lynchburg both want it badly, and it starts right now. General's trying to just keep possession.
The track is loaded everywhere around here in the press box as well. It's a packed house tonight, and the Washington and Lee contingent's going to go into a frenzy on that one. Generals strike first in the fourth. They were stymied at the end of the third by the Lynchburg defense, but Alex Brown, who showed some signs of frustration earlier, well, he can let some of the load off of his shoulders there. He's back on the board with his second of the day.
He's shooting 62% in his last 5 games, and you just think about any time that he gets it, he's ready to fire. You saw that opportunity that was missed earlier. You know he's not going to miss many more of those.
Alex Brown, hat-trick in all but 2 games this season. He's 67% of the way there. And he's got at least 13 minutes to go. Have not had an overtime game yet this season for either of these teams. Saw quite a few for Lynchburg last year, and when these two teams met in the regular season over in Lexington, it was Riley Mitchell, the hero, in an overtime affair. You want to talk about, gritting your teeth, biting your fingernails, golden goal, the overtime rule for men's lacrosse. You can battle for a full 60 minutes. It all comes down to that last goal at the end. We're deadlocked at 8 with 13 minutes to go.
Ideally, if you're a coaching staff, you don't want it to get there, but so many plays back and forth that start to matter. Hornets, here they come.
Hornets do not have numbers. Finn Schmidt, though, wisely will wait for everybody to get on that end of the field and did well to get to that ball before anybody else could and create this offensive set for Lynchburg. Both teams struggled a lot on the offensive side through that first quarter. Advantage was to the goalkeepers for most of this game, but now the offense is starting to heat up. Dylan Wolf, he's putting his defender in a spin cycle, looking for a map, but Wolf's off the mark on the shot. Nods his head, though, still likes the look.
Don't have to search far. You know where they're trying to go, and Wolf is one of those guys. We've seen a few more opportunities now up front, especially from that top when those passes are opening things up. Another pipe.
Well, and Wolf, not a guy who lacks for confidence. That's what you see out of the senior leaders on this Lynchburg side of things. Riley Mitchell, another guy, he's going to keep on shooting. And maybe Jake Russ, the golden ticket, as we get down into the final 12 minutes. A quiet day for the leading scorer for Lynchburg. Can they get him going? It's Finn Schmidt. He sails it over the top head of the goal. Stays with Lynchburg. But here's this, obviously you haven't put a goal in the back of the net yet, but you're testing Duquesne, getting multiple shots off in this possession. That's what you want. You do hope that ultimately it pans out with a goal, but at least you're letting them feel you. Sneaking out of that one, then running into the brick wall that is the stud defender, Matthew Azell. He's made a couple plays here in these last 5 minutes of game time. That puts a period on the end of that run-on sentence that was the Lynchburg possession.
General's got to watch out for Vandenberg, too. Sometimes you have those passes that are a little too comfortable, and here the window is open. Generals will just be patient.
Hornets Going to stick with man here. Going to play up, full pressure on the general offensive pieces. Elliott's gotten a lot going today. Doesn't have a goal or an assist to his official tally, but he's sort of been the X factor on offense.
You mentioned earlier just trying to test these goalkeepers at this point. Really starts with just, as they say in baseball, shifting the eye level, give them different looks. Lynchburg's going to have one now.
Ulrichs trying to go coast to coast. He'll give it off. Hastings did not like the look, but a big-time defensive stop from Ulrichs. Last couple of weeks have been kind to number 6. Scored a goal on Wednesday against Guilford. He's made some big-time plays today. Steve Ulrichs, he wears number 6. He hails from Richmond, Virginia. He's in his final season with the program and trying to make it a memorable one.
If you get going in a game like this, it's going to continue carrying down the schedule. You got the trio of our teams coming up. Randolph making Roanoke. But right now, focus is W&L. It feels like this is your championship.
Ian McCarthy jogs on now for Lynchburg. McCarthy, interesting note, the only Hornet last year to appear in every single game. He played all 22 of them. Another guy that came back for that graduate 5th season. He's got a goal and 4 assists to his name this year. Hornets probing on offense, still stuck at this 8-apiece tie. Lining up a shot, there goes Brody Mason, he's off the mark.
W&L's defense just starting to explode a little bit. We've seen Lynchburg have most of the possession to start this 4th quarter, but it doesn't feel like many of these threats have been too threatening, and W&L now just these quick offensive possessions trying to catch the Hornets napping.
Defense is starting to dig their heels in once again. See those shot percentages starting to drop once more. Lynchburg just 8 of 33 today. They're under 25%. 8 of 26 for the Generals, a little healthier, but still not much better than what they're averaging on the season. Generals wise to just stay patient here. 9 minutes to go. Only goal of the 4th quarter belongs to W&L. That pass gets away. Who's going to be first to it? They'll keep it on the Generals side, but might have just wanted to let that one go ahead and roll away. Lynchburg going to take over. Right place, right time for the Hornets was Luke Meadows, the sophomore hometown kid, midfielder out of Lynchburg.
Chris Datz just unfortunate in that spot too. Tried to tip it back, maybe thinking a teammate was there, and then Lynchburg had the lane wide open.
Frontline midfield back out there. Rust, Mitchell, Wolf, all 3 of them seniors or older. Have to imagine they'll be rocking and rolling the rest of regulation.
Like regulation, because it might take just a little bit more.
Well, nothing opening so far, nothing doing for Lynchburg. Double team forced against Riley Mitchell. Big time play, jarring it away, going the other way. Here comes W&L out on the run. Pass to the left, an extra pass, another extra pass. There's the shot, stopped by Hadley. Stopped by Tyler Hadley, his 8th save of the day.
Wow, Elliott Cohen, he tried to do a little bit of everything, takes it into the offensive third for W&L. Pass off, shot attempt, but Hadley, the brick wall between the pipes, he's doing everything for Lynchburg and a little more.
That's one that'll just, that'll make you slam your stick into the ground if you're Washington Lee. They did everything right on that fast break opportunity. They go with 2 extra passes. They get the best look possible, and Hadley still makes a break on it, makes his 8th save of the ball game.
If you're Lynchburg, you don't want to fall back into that path again, though, because obviously W&L is going to capitalize a few later on. How about the Hornets trying to get the clear? Hadley has some trouble.
Burns just sort of lost it there. Uncharacteristic play from him, but we've seen that from some big-time offensive pieces on both sides today. Just some unforced, unfortunate, and uncharacteristic miscues. Lynchburg's got to get it across. It's Cole Zacharias. Kadelka deemed him last year the best at clearing in terms of a single individual. Zacharias often involved in, more so being the recipient of a clear opportunity, as he's a defensive midfielder, but gets it done there all by himself.
Well, Exhibit A, right? He had 3 defenders just trying to get it done. In W&L, we know their attack is always on the prowl. how about the confidence, the composure, just to slow things down?
That trouble getting it across burned a lot of the shot clock for Lynchburg, but it'll be one and done anyway. So the Generals will try again. We've played 9 minutes just about of this fourth quarter and just one goal to talk about so far. That was a WNL equalizer to tie us up at 8. How fitting. It's number 37, Alex Brown, is second of the day. He's climbing towards 50 for the season.
And we've seen double-digit saves for WNL. Duquesne has been phenomenal. We knew that's what it would take. I think everybody knew it was going to be a high-level performance. But now you just really have to open up this offense and have that timely goal, because it feels like one right now might be enough.
Goalkeepers have been in command. Duquesne has been phenomenal today. Tyler Hadley made his 500th career save earlier in this game. Also secured his third straight season with upwards of 100 saves. Once again, you see those two ends of the spectrum. The graduate student on one end, the freshman on the other. Both of them putting together a master class. Possession is going to stay with the Generals, much to the chagrin of the Hornets sideline. Now the tension builds. 5.5 to go, 10 seconds on the shot clock for the Generals. Trying to dial one up, they dial one home. Jack Elliott finally phones home. He's on the scoreboard with one and swings the Generals back ahead. There's that pivotal goal you talk about, Evan. 5:18 to play, and Jack Elliott, who's had a tough day in terms of finding the back of the net, does so at a big-time moment, 14th goal of the year.
We've had a few players in that category for both sides, but the way that Jack Elliott keeps shooting, you had to know that he still had confidence. We saw a shot just seconds before, really winding up from that far angle, and now WNL just trying to end this one early. They got a shot.
When the answers have come, they've come early, but Lynchburg won't get a chance to do so right now. They'll have to do it on defense. Big-time face-off win by the man who I believe has taken every single one of them. Tyler Spano, the freshman from Charlottesville, has come out here on the road against the number 11 Lynchburg Hornets, and he has done all the work at midfield.
Tell you, if you're Coach McCabe at this point, you want to still work with a little bit of urgency, but you can't be too patient because these two teams are so good at clearing. If you have that one turnover, that might be the difference, puts another goal on the scoreboard. So passing is to be crystal, crisp, and clear at this point.
Got to balance this pivotal point in the game right now. Elliott was looking for a quick doubling of his goal total. The last goal scorer for WNL, he's looking for another. Generals have the only 2 goals in the period, and they're back on offense. Second opportunity, 23 seconds left on the 80.
Feels like every quarter has ended with Lynchburg getting the momentum, and WNL slowly grinds away. These longer possessions have really allowed them to take control.
And time again, Lynchburg has made those momentum plays with its defense. They made a big one there. Hadley gets the stop. Blanchard on the run. Hornets in most situations today have slowed down those fast break opportunities, and now you really got to prize those possessions. Finn Schmidt does so again. Wolf, full head of steam, gives to Mitchell. Around the bend we go. In close, big time save from Duquesne. Big time. Riley Hastings was in scoring position. Duquesne denies him.
Hastings is the guy you don't want to have possession at that point. What a big moment, because WNL, after those 3 or 4 passes, it just felt like it wasn't if, but when Lynchburg was going to get that score, and now the Hornets have to figure it out again.
One timeout for each sideline apiece with 3:20 to go. Can Lynchburg hustle this one down? They do. Wolf, quick glance at the mini scoreboard. It shows 35. Still plenty of time here for Lynchburg. Got to try and take a shot, though. Mitchell bounces it in. Defender on his backside. Biggest goal of the day, and number 2 for number 1. Riley Mitchell, the 2-for-1 special. It's on clearance. Lynchburg offense strikes back.
Make it rain. Money Mitchell. He's been prowling this entire game. Look at that. Bounce it in. Clinical stuff. We are tied at 9s. It's going to take double digits to escape in this showdown here in the middle of the ODAC schedule.
Evan, that was that play you talk about where your upperclassman, he's not going to be denied. Defender all over him. He does get him on his back hip, but that stick's still in the way. Mitchell just puts his head down, and it's full steam ahead. He's only got one speed, and we're tied up yet again. 3 minutes to go. Does the next goal win it? If we go to overtime, it certainly will. But we got 3 more minutes in regulation. Both teams still holding on to that lone timeout.
We have seen games on this field where Lynchburg has been tested to the final 10 seconds and might take the final few ticks to decide this one, but that's why your defense has to be so composed. No penalties here, no reasons to have to work from behind.
Evan, you and I were on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Podcast earlier this week. If you haven't already, you should go give it a listen. We were talking top Lynchburg sports moments of this last 2 academic years. Might be a big-time moment coming down either in the Washington and Lee ledger, in their lore, or on the Lynchburg side of things. Code red, everybody's out on the track, and we are knotted up. Never been more than 2 goals of separation. Back to 1 goal of separation for the Generals. 2 hands in the air for everyone. Generals strike once more. Michael Ott, the West Newbury, Massachusetts product, getting it done in the Commonwealth.
Second goal of the season. It doesn't matter how many. It matters when. It matters that you have that timely scoring up and down your roster. And W&L just trying to find that advantage. Feels like another goal would certainly seal it, but back and forth we go. Seesaw stuff on Schellenberger.
Well, Evan, we talked about Alex Brown dominating goals versus assists. He's always seemingly on the receiving end of those plays. Well, Michael Ott, he's sort of the reverse. You know, he's got 17 assists on the year coming into today. See those different functions of the Washington and Lee offense. Riley Mitchell sent this place into a frenzy. Washington and Lee quickly quieted it. Lynchburg had 1 time out. You can't take it with you. You might as well burn it now. We will give everyone a chance to catch their breath with the dramatic finish. 1:52 to go, and the Generals up 10-9.
Get your career in the game by enrolling in the University of Lynchburg MBA program with an emphasis in sport management. This program opens the doors to new possibilities for a variety of careers, from being an athletic director or working in athletic administration to working for professional organizations, your favorite team, to running a local Parks and Rec department. And employers are increasingly requesting and preferring individuals who have postgraduate education, specifically looking for an MBA. And so the University of Lynchburg Sport Management concentration in the MBA program sets you up for success, and it sets you apart from the many other people looking for jobs in the industry. Learn from winners. Here you will learn from professors and mentors who have spent their careers doing exactly what you want to do. Increase your marketability in an $83 billion industry. If you have a 3.0 GPA,
well, it is chock full of drama on Schellenberger Field as we come down to the conclusion. Riley Mitchell sent this place bananas, and they were quickly silenced on the other end. Michael Ott, not necessarily known for his scoring, now running all the way out into the Lynchburg attacking third goes Gene McCabe to whistle in the timeout for Washington and Lee. They will be awarded with it. There's that classic look, right? You see it with the inbounds plays in basketball. You want to see what the opponent's going to throw at you, who's the personnel, and it just gives us a chance to digest things a little further. But how about the big-time moment there from Michael Ott? He's ready for it, collects the pass, and boom, right back in to the back of the net. It's the most important goal to this point.
That was a high percentage look, and W&L has had many of them in the second half where you're seeing them really score on the doorstep, and that eliminates Hadley's influence because we know that when you're going to see the ball for longer, you're going to have a better save percentage, more opportunities. And so Lynchburg, I think, in this chance where you know there have been good goalies throughout this game, DeCane is going to be ready. Who do you have making that cut? Because we know that Mitchell and Wolf are so crucial in this offense. Hastings has been phenomenal. So you have those looks up and down. It's just really a question of who wants to be in the big moment.
this game was snubbed for the D3 game of the week this week. It did stay in-house. It stayed in the ODAC. Roanoke and Hampton-Sydney, two teams having great years. Not that that game wasn't deserving, but in the revisionist history scope of things, I mean, you look at this one, a game that's never been more than 2 goals between these two historic programs, and now a 1-goal deficit with under 2 minutes to go. This possession could very well decide it. This is most of the remaining clock we have. If Lynchburg uses it all, you're looking at well under a minute for Washington and Lee to work with. But here we go. It's everybody you'd expect, the starting 6 on offense for both sides. Should say the starting 6 on offense for Lynchburg. Obviously, it's, starting 6 defenders for Washington and Lee. Big time moment. You probably don't want to put your attackmen on defense, right? But Lynchburg, another unforced error. Hornets are going to have to come up in a big time spot with their defense. That pass got away, and here we go. Generals score here could be the knockout punch. Clock is in your favor.
Watch the personnel near the crease here. You understand that Lynchburg is just trying to eliminate as many people as possible. There you go, doubling down. We might see a penalty. WNL walking onto the field. I think it's going to be a timeout.
So they play all the way through the whistle. Now the scoreboard shows no timeouts left for Washington and Lee, but maybe there was just an error earlier, and they did have that one to go. Officials will award it to them, so we'll defer to the men in black and white. And we'll break this down a little bit further. This is a critical point. We've seen Lynchburg in these last 2 seasons, obviously more so last year, in these spots late in games. And we've seen them have to be out there with their defense and sort of the game in the balance. Today, Evan, you noted it a moment ago, it feels like Lynchburg's had the momentum at the end of every quarter, and they've done it every single time on the defensive end. Generals have had the ball, good chance to score. Somebody on the Lynchburg D's made a play to stop them. I mean, that's going to be needed now more than ever.
Two-sided coin here. You're on defense. You're pinned back. You understand that if you're Coach Kadelka, and that's what's going through the huddle, this team is so good on transition. If you get the run going, Lynchburg has maybe its best opportunity to score. You have the personnel to do so, but you can't let this clock go down too much. 58 on the shot clock. You really have one look if you're Lynchburg, and you got to make it count.
Well, and on a lot of these plays, right, where Lynchburg's come up with these defensive stops, they've had opportunities to get out in transition. Now, pretty much every time today, they've pulled out of that transition look, but you might be getting to that point now where if you see a clear path, you just got to go ahead and load one up. But first things first is defense, and Washington and Lee got to make sure the jitters don't get to you. You got to remember, you've got the advantage in this game. You only got 58 seconds. You should say still have 58 seconds on the shot clock. You got 1:14. That's all that's left on the big clock, and you have the 1-goal advantage. So you just got to continue to make those crisp passes. It is an empty net for Lynchburg. If anybody's able to beat a one-on-one look, they might have a good look at the goal. Lynchburg's going to throw those double teams. Who's there? Nobody's there. They won't take the shot, though.
Wow, you don't see that very often. They are definitely going to hold on to it. There's a flag. Looks like a penalty. Going to be against Lynchburg.
So it's going to be a man-up opportunity once the play concludes, but really interesting, trying to burn more time off. Now right by the goal again, diving. Was he in the crease? They're going to wave it off. That's just one of those moments, Evan. I've never seen anything like the last 2 plays. You got to keep your head if you're Washington and Lee here. 2 phenomenal scoring opportunities, and you got a guy diving across the crease to try and score.
See Coach halfway on the field. You don't know what that conversation is. Are they trying to wait, or are they trying to score? They had, like you said, it's almost a dream-like scenario.
I mean, it's an empty net. You know where the crease is. You know where you can't shoot from. There's nobody there, and you have plenty of time. Take a beat and line up the shot. It's just an interesting sequence there.
And with the face-off battle today, it feels like WNL has had that advantage. And so even if you get the goal, I don't see Lynchburg coming back for 2. Wow, but either way, the Generals going to have a good situation. Obviously, you're not taking away the fact that they're still up 1. They're still going to have numbers, but trying to really solve the picture here.
Well, Steve Ulrich's got hit with the penalty. The confusion did give us a chance to check the marker. It's a full minute penalty. It also warranted a reset of the shot clock, and that's really the kicker there for the General, or for Lynchburg, I should say, because now shot clock effectively is turned off. Just 40 seconds left on the game clock, and Lynchburg can't. I mean, do you risk pulling Hadley out now? I mean, I guess you have to, because you have to get this defensive stop, but now you can't throw those double teams. You're a man down. It's an even 6-on-6, including the goalie.
Or even worse, you get hit with another penalty here. You have to be smart. And like you said, kind of play with your head on a swivel. I think you understand here, if you're Coach Gadelka, yeah, you're down 1, but you can't even focus on offense. And so expect if Lynchburg can somehow pull away this possession, there's going to be a quick call to get another huddle. But WNL in the driver's seat, chance with just 40 seconds to go to seal the victory.
Generals trying to pull off another marquee win to go ahead and pad their resume. We referenced the Gettysburg win earlier. They were 1 goal away from knocking off York to kick off the year in a high-scoring affair. All of their losses, quality losses. I can tell you right now that, those back-to-back wins over Randolph-Macon and Hampton-Sydney, those are going to continue to hold up as this year progresses. Both of those teams already in double digits in the win column. Chance to add another and to really cement yourself right there at the top of the ODAC standings. 4 straight wins for the visitor in the series between these two. Can Washington and Lee effectively dribble it out here? Hornets got to force a turnover. You also can't give up a goal. We'll see if WNL will even take one. Now 24 seconds. Lynchburg's got to get aggressive. Haley's just running back and forth. Many wind sprints. He's going to toss that one high in the air, whiffed on. Lynchburg scoops it up. Ground ball, Darren Palma. And then collapsing to the turf. Didn't see any contact there. WNL man on the field. It's going to stop play. Lynchburg's going to get a chance to collect itself. The man down is Sam Menino. Did not see what happened to him. There's 6 seconds. Might get a reset of the game clock. But another moment there, Evan, where if you're Washington and Lee and you're Haley, you just continue to run back and forth. If they clobber you and they double team you, that's okay.
Yeah, and you're so far away from home, too, that if Lynchburg gets the turnover, you never know.
Now with 5 seconds, Mitchell, he's got range. Going to try to line up the biggest shot of the season. He's not going to get it off. Clobbered as the horn sounds. Mitchell never got the look off. And for the second straight time, it is the Washington and Lee General Blue that swarms Schellenberger Field at the end of it all. We will once again wave goodbye to the Lynchburg student section. The Generals steal an incredibly entertaining and incredibly important game from the hometown Lynchburg Hornets. What a conclusion we had to that one, Evan. There's just a lot to sit with as you move on from this game. Riley Mitchell had the ball in his stick at the end of the game. There's nobody you'd rather have the ball right there at the end, but credit the Washington and Lee defense. He never even gets the shot off.
And the road teams prevail, right? We talked about it. WNL has come in and really just got a gutsy win. It didn't feel like momentum sat one way or another for too long. We talked about the last play. Haley obviously ran into a little bit of trouble, but WNL so clinical to close this one out. It had its fair share of moments, folks. You see it on the screen. The highlights left and right. You expect it every time these two teams clash, and this is probably not the final time that they will meet this season. You look at the postseason, you just never know how it's going to shape up.
Well, the Generals do get another resume-building win that they can add. As, like you said, Evan, top of the broadcast, we're into April now, and the march into May is really starting to begin, and two teams with high hopes moving to that point. WNL entered today ranked 10th in the USILA poll. It's a perfect 2-0 week for them. So continue to expect them to rise upward. They've won 6 in a row now, and they will improve to 10-3 and stay perfect in the ODAC. For Lynchburg, the first conference loss in the regular season since dropping one on the road to Randolph-Macon last year, and obviously the second straight loss in the series with the Generals. Hornets fall back to 6-5 as another fourth quarter lead slips away.
We've had so many treats on LHSN this season. If you're just joining us, visiting, fan neutral, whatever, you have obviously seen a pretty special treat. You understand, listen, this is a conference that is locked and loaded. It's always going to be, but this rivalry, it just keeps on going. WNL since 99, 20 and 19, they get the very slight edge, but I'll tell you one thing, Coach Kudelka's squad is resilient. They're one of the best at coming back, figuring things out. They're going to look to do it again.
And we know, a lot of eyes across the D3 landscape focused in on this one. Especially a lot of the bigger games today were played earlier in the afternoon, so 7 p.m. slot probably dominated sort of by this one, in a phenomenally played game on both sides. Somebody had to win it, somebody had to lose it. Washington and Lee, the victors on Schellenberger Field, they steal the show and have back-to-back wins in the series. Hornets will be back at home on April 13th to take on Randolph-Macon. We'll have it for you right here. That'll be another huge one for this ball club. Washington and Lee, next time out, they're back at home at Averett. That is going to do it for the entirety of this LHSN crew. For Sam Rice, our director, Laura Porto back here behind the table, Evan Gates, our phenomenal camera crew, and everybody involved. It's been a lot of fun bringing this one to you, and we'll see you next time on LHSN.